Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Have You Ever Played podcast, the only podcast with a definitive Game of the Year version. It's your host, Matt, aka Matt Fondude, and I'm with my co host this week.
Yes, I'm James, aka James04E.
And I hope you enjoyed the James special last week.
Yeah, it was
I think it
great.
was a fun mix up. Uh, I would be happy to do some more twists in the future of that nature, I guess. James, how did it feel to host the show?
I said some words
That is true. You
that
did say some words.
it definitely happened.
I mean, hosting the show is basically doing the exact same thing you do now, except you speak first, then I do the second part. It's pretty much just we switch the parts.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. Anyway, the intro this week is brought to you by me looking at the Steam release page and seeing that Lisa the Painful RPG Definitive Edition came out for PC.
Oh my
Do you know
god.
about Lisa the Painful RPG?
No, I do not.
Okay, so it is like a game maker or I think it's like an RPG maker RPG game. That's like a side scroller, but has kind of like weird combat, and it's just like a weird um. It's a weird game where you collect a bunch of different characters, and it's kind of dark, and it's actually very good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was pretty old, and now there's a like definitive version available on Steam. I don't know if I don't know how this definitive version actually works. I don't know if you get it for free if you own it, if it's just an update. Apparently they have a vinyl soundtrack. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
might cop that. Oh, the link on the Steam page, the official Steam news page link is showing up as a blocked malicious link, which is
Hmm.
not good. It is showing link blocked. Link is flagged for being potentially malicious
Potentially
from
malicious.
their front store page. Interesting. I'll look at this later. Um, that's never a good sign.
Yeah, usually not.
Anyway, I guess people are saying that the definitive version is kind of like whatever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Definitive versions of games are always weird because sometimes definitive doesn't mean definitive anymore.
Yeah, definitive has a pretty loose definition.
Yeah, especially when games like a Dark Souls 1 remaster and like those Arkham games we talked about last week, I believe, or just in
Yeah.
general we've talked about them, how like they will be the definitive version, but they'll change some key thing like the lighting. Both those games change the lighting for like in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
Um and then it's like what's really the definitive version? I don't know. It's weird. Um Dragon Quest, that one Dragon Quest game that came out on the Switch, and like it's Echoes of a Forgotten Age or Echoes of an Elusive Age, Dragon Quest 11. That game has one of the dumbest definitive editions ever because it has a PC port which is technically visually better, um, but has like I think it has like a worse soundtrack, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
PC version, and they were selling that on Steam. Then they took that down. Now they're selling Definitive Edition, which is a port of the Switch version. So it looks slightly worse, but has more content and better music, and it's just annoying. It is just annoying.
Man.
Anyway, James, how has your week been?
My week was okay. My headset randomly decided to break on Saturday. Like I literally so, I got up to go to the bathroom, I came back and I could just only hear out of one ear for my headset.
Classic.
And that was really annoying. See, I ordered a new one to be. It was supposed to come in today by 10 p.m. and then they said, "Oh yeah, I'll be here by 5 p.m." And I was saying, "Well, we'll be here by 5 p.m., but it's not here yet. Don't know.
It'll be
Don't know
here
what to
end
tell
of
you
day.
there. Don't know what to tell you about that. You might have to time travel for this."
See, this could be a situation of they threw it in the bush outside your house. You should check the bushes too, because I've
Well,
had stuff like
yeah,
that
like
happen
on the
before.
trackage pack, it doesn't say that it doesn't say that it's here yet.
I had an issue with the Portal 2 official soundtrack when they were selling that.
Hmm.
The only reason I bought that, and the only reason anyone bought the Portal 2 official soundtrack, was you got a free TF2 app, like a sapper skin that
Hmm.
made like Wheatley a sapper for Spy. Um, but it said delivered, and this was before they had like the pictures
Yeah.
on delivery, and I was like, I didn't get it, and I messaged them, and like a week later, I literally found it like in the hedges, like just like threw it. They just like threw the box into like a bush. It was just buried. So you never
Man.
know.
Yep. You never know.
I just imagine like the mail person didn't even like slow the truck down. They just were driving by and just whipped it at my house. Just fell into a bush.
Man. Yeah, but because of the headset fiasco, I didn't do as much gaming as normal because it's actually very annoying. For those of you that
Hmm.
haven't had this like experience before, like playing games with only one ear, like even games that aren't like audio dependent, it's just it is borderline like infuriating just only being able to hear it out of one ear. It's like when you have a bug like buzzing in your ear or something. It's very similar emotion.
You know what's funny?
What?
When it's forced, when it's a 1 ear forced thing, like I was actually watching a YouTube video yesterday, and for some reason only the left audio worked on the video. I just couldn't watch it.
Yeah.
But half the time I'll have 1 ear open. Usually, like when have headphones on, I'll have 1 ear open to listen to my surroundings or people or whatever, and I don't mind it then. I will listen to full things one headphone in. But when it's forced, I think it's worse. I think
Well, yeah.
if you opt, it's okay, but if you're forced into it,
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah, I think it's because your full attention isn't on the thing you're listening to, and also you can still kind of hear it with the headphone that's not in your ear, because like the
Mhm.
sound, like the sound will bleed out in that direction, even if you have closed back headphones.
Counterpoint, what if you're wearing an AirPod in 1 ear? Then
If you're running
you don't have it.
that's just
So
a normal human experience.
yeah, 1 ear AirPod, and that's honestly how I live my life now, and I see a lot of other poor, miserable souls like myself. What
Yeah,
the people who walk around at like in the middle of like the working day, and they're getting lunch or something, and they have one earphone in, and they're dressed like I'm a kindred spirit with you. I just see another person
kindred spirit.
in the Chipotle line with one AirPod in, not even
Hmm.
listening to anything. Just forget to take it out because it's been in your head all day. Oh
Yeah, but
man.
so yeah, for games I played this week, played a little bit of Gunfire Reborn and Diablo. I basically only played my grindy games
Mhm.
because I was like, if I'm not gonna have that much fun playing games, but I still want to play games, I might as well play the things that I don't that I don't necessarily seek stimulus from anyway.
Yeah. I
Just
uh
occasionally get my big numbers, and that's it.
I just read a Reddit post like right before the podcast that apparently Diablo had a big update in which they nerfed literally everything and made the game slower. Uh
Mm.
I guess they nerfed everything and made it so progression is slower in general.
Yeah, I
Like
gotta
just overall made everything slower.
like today.
I literally just read this right before the podcast, so I don't know if they dropped it
Okay,
today.
yeah. Apparently there is an update. Okay, I gotta look through this
All right,
because
live
this is a
Diablo
little
patch
scary.
reaction.
Okay, I don't play any other classes besides barbarian, so I don't really. I'm gonna skip them.
Okay, I need
Uh,
to know. I need to know.
yeah, they added a bunch of unique items. It's like six.
Mhm.
Barbarian has Azarath unique sword. Lucky hit. Your core skill has a 20% chance to freeze enemies. Okay, I mean, sure. It's not really that special.
I think it's mainly the changes to I guess rewards and drop rates and stuff and
Hmm.
grinding
I
methods.
set them up.
Damn. One second. I need to point out to the audience that is the second mic obliteration hit by James this podcast.
Yeah,
That is what that sound
I was
is.
trying to scratch my forehead and my hand just went astray.
The new gamer headset is cumbersome and in the way and
Yeah,
causing earth-shattering mic hits
yeah.
this
So
episode.
since my headset broke, I'm using a really crappy like old Xbox headset. It's not an actual like Xbox brand headset. It's like one that I used when I played Xbox. but the sound quality is horrendous. But at least I can hear it through 2 years. The problem is that the cord is really short, so I had to change where my microphone was plugged in, and like it messes with the positioning of everything a little bit and stuff like that. So
I
I'm
think we
hitting
need.
my mic in places I'm not used to hitting it in.
I think we need to start investing in the video portion of the podcast because I can see James right now, but we're not recording any of the video. The headset is magnificent. It is like a GameStop like Mad Catz gamer RGB headset. He's never been more dialed in. He's
Man,
gonna go to grands with this headset. Like he's ready to win some sort of nondescript Valve esports game.
epic gamer moment.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything particularly eventful in this patch so far. I mean, there's some new unique web items that I don't really think people are going to use that much, but they look cool, they look fun.
See, all Google Reddit and then patch notes so
Oh
you can
boy,
see people yelling. You need I don't even know because I didn't play whatever.
lots of bug fixes. I'm not reading these.
Anyway, I guess
Unemployed.
the thing people were mad about is that like again drop rate changes and also um
Uh oh wait, no. It says
less
overall loot quality
grindability.
has been significantly improved for silent chests. Okay, I thought that was it. Generally reduced tendency for many monsters to move around. I'm really not seeing the badness yet. Yeah. World Tier 2 monsters now drop 15% more items. This just seems like buffs.
Well, maybe it's a I don't know. This is gonna come as a shock. Maybe Reddit overreacted
Reward
to
experience
something.
for
I don't know.
literally every single progression related thing. This seems like an increase.
I don't know. I literally just read a thing. I don't play this game. That was my takeaway.
Increases more 5% bonus per level up to. Oh, I see. So the problem is that when you're killing monsters that are higher level than you get less XP than you did before because they reworked the scaling, which is like what they don't want people power leveling, which I thought was pretty obvious.
Hmm.
So like I don't know why people are that upset about it.
I don't know. I'm not even gonna touch it. Cause I don't play. Again, I fell off that game like a face of the earth. But maybe I'll play it again one day.
Okay, and
Um.
then in Helltide, so how Helltide worked is it was an area of the map where you would have a chance of having these things called aberrant cinders dropped when you killed a monster, and there were chests around the map that would give you different items. Like some would be like armor, some would be weapons, stuff like that. And you would basically the aberrant cinders were like currency. So there's things called mystery chests that would spawn a lot of various legendary items and like potentially uniques. Uh, it was just like a bunch of random ones instead of just one, like from other chests. But they increased the cost of it by like 75.
Oh.
I guess, yeah, I guess that's one of the main things they're worried about. Oh my, this is a lot of numbers. I can't read this right now. I mean, none of these abilities matter.
Okay. The James hot flaming hot take is Reddit overreacted, and this is fine.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm gonna continue
Direct
to skim,
all
but
mail toward James at hyeppodcast@gmail.com. That is the hyeppodcast@gmail.com. Subject line James is wrong. Put that in there and then send all hate mail that way. I
yeah,
don't know.
it really seems like they just patched up like some really dumb ways of getting too much loot or getting too much XP by being like under leveled.
Hmm.
Like the only thing, legitimately, the only thing I could see people complaining about is like the Helltide chests being more expensive, which
What
is
I think
like,
is
yeah, I think for most classes, like the actual thing you did in Helltide is there would be two mystery chest spawns per Helltide, and it would or two mystery chest spawns at once, and they would reset every hour. But Helltide is only an hour, so it would have to start at like a really at like a kind of specific time for it to be realistic to get four. But
Mhm.
like the optimal thing to do would be to like go into Helltide, get the mystery chest done, and just like leave.
Mhm.
And like usually you'd have a pretty decent amount of extra time if you were like on level farming.
See,
So I don't know. I guess it just hurts for people who are slow.
the part of it that's kind of weird to me though is like these certain nerfs for a game that is why it's pretty much it is a single player game even though it has the online stuff. It does seem weird nerfing a lot of things. Um in terms of like it shouldn't matter as much because it's just like a, like wouldn't you think they would buff more things to make it more fun and enjoyable in a single player kind of game like this where, you're just it's not like PvP balances. I know there is PvP, but like they're not like bouncing around PvP and stuff. It just seems weird to just make it less, less fun in a way. It seems like
Um,
an anti-fun update rather than, trying to balance the game and also still making it fun and enjoyable.
Also, I think the problem with that though is that the developers have an intended experience for the game, and like if they think that players are too strong for that intended experience to really come through for them, then it does make sense that they would adjust things like that. Like if your build is just one shotting everything, for example, even if you're not a player who wants to hard optimize things, it could feel kind of bad that it's like, well, what am I doing with this build where I'm like struggling when I could just be that guy?
I feel that, and I guess coming from a Souls perspective, even though those games, I mean, PvP set aside, but those games have had issues in the past where there's been weapons that just are too strong. Like, I remember Chaos S stock, I think, in what was it, Dark Souls 2? That was like stupid, or it was 3, one of the games. There was some items that were like tuned up, even for like the main game that were kind of too tuned up. Although Elden Ring seems to have thrown that in the trash. They're just like, you know what? Just be broken. It's fun. Um, and I get that, but it does almost feel like the update is designed to make the game last longer and take more time, so people can't finish it as quick. Because there's a lot of people who beat the game and are like bored. They're like, "Where's more content?" They're like, "All right, we'll just slow down existing content, so it doesn't take you. It takes longer to clear."
Well, the game does actually have a lot of content. I guess just the issue is that like at the speed that people are going through things, they can't really keep up with that for development. I don't think.
Yeah, and
And
I
I
agree with
think
you
like yeah,
there.
I just think that people are experiencing these things a little too fast. So like people are getting burnt out. They're getting like quite literally just too much stimulus at once, where they just
Mhm.
like they're like actually frying their brains. So it makes them not want to play the game anymore.
That is a fair point to consider when they make a change like this where it slows down progression and people are upset. They're like, "Well, there's nothing to do. Well, there's nothing left to do," and they've already like 100% at the game on every class in the first month. They've
Yeah.
done everything. But is that
The,
really a developer's fault? There isn't infinity content. You know what I mean? That's kind of
yeah,
the MMO age-old question of always, complaining when they beat the new content.
yeah, the player with 1K hours in 1 month says, I'm out of stuff to do in the game, guys. What's going on?"
Yeah. I mean, I get it from both sides, but like, yeah, I don't know. I'm too far away from Diablo to have a fully formed opinion on it. I just saw it was interesting
Hmm.
that the first meaningful update seems to be negative reception. And I'm not sure, going forward how the next few updates will go with that game leading up to I'm assuming an expansion of some kind at one point.
Hmm.
See how that goes.
Yeah, the funny thing is, um, in the last like week or so, or last few weeks, I haven't been playing Diablo 4 as much as I did towards launch, obviously. But I saw like I was getting recommended these videos like there was like an Act Man video. I don't know if you know Act Man. But
Act
he had this
Man.
video. It's basically like,
Sounds
why is
familiar.
Diablo 4 so bad? Like he has this video format where it's like, why is X game so amazing, or like why was this game so amazing? Like why was this game so bad? And like things like that. And it's like, why is Diablo 4 so bad? I'm like, well, I didn't know people didn't like this game. I think it's fine. And then
Mhm.
yeah, I hear what you say about the patch notes. And now I'm on Reddit, and literally every single post
I'm
is a
done.
meme
I'm
about
quitting.
yeah, it's a meme about how bad the patch is. It's saying like how people are pissed. Like man, it is. It is crazy. God, these memes are insane.
I don't know. I mean, I could have tapped into. I think it was like on the front page or of all or something like that, which is why I even saw it.
Hmm.
Um, and I think I could have maybe tapped into people just being like mad. The people who are 10,000 hours in, writing about this, being mad, which I get. I mean, you gotta give those players credit. They play the game, but I mean, it's a balancing act of trying to figure out who to listen to. You know, sometimes the players are wrong. Sometimes the developers are wrong. Sometimes they're both wrong. So
Oh
it's.
my god. So apparently people are saying that Sorcerer got the worst of the nerfs. And
Mhm.
there's two posts I came up on. There's one that says, Blizzard, please show us on the doll where the sorcerer hurt you. There's another one where it said the title is These reworked unique sorcerer pants are pretty neat. The pants are called Ice Heart Brain Brise, and the effect is sorcerers that die while frozen have a 100% chance to unleash a sad whimpering cry for class buffs.
That's a very Diablo specific meme that I'm assuming sorcerers have issues if they get frozen because I guess you
Yeah,
probably
I
what are they
guess they don't
glass
have.
cannon?
Yeah, I guess they don't have like CC immunity or something like that. I don't know, but it's
Well, massive
sheesh.
L. Anyway, uh, so outside of Diablo, have you played any? I mean, in Gunfire, have you checked out anything new?
Yeah, I got to. So with Gunfire, once you complete Nightmare difficulty, you unlock Reincarnation difficulty, which is basically like there's 8 versions of it, and like each time you beat one version, you get the next. This is like a next level of difficulty with a few new things that you can do to make yourself stronger. And I experienced for the first time firsthand why they have all these crazy buffs for your damage and things like that. So no, I was doing like a melee build, and basically my character puts up his shield, he dashes around and just punches people. And so I got to one of the last areas, and they have these enemies called UFOs,
Of
and
course,
they're
yep.
they're literally just UFOs. They spawn. They give like all the enemies around them shields constantly, so you basically have to kill them first. And they fly around outside of melee range normally. Um, Unless you climb on top of some stuff, like you get on elevated terrain, you can't really hit them with melee. And so there was one that I just couldn't get anywhere to hit it. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna start shooting it. I start shooting it, and I realize I have to be doing less than a thousandth of its total HP.
Oh
And
no.
so I use all of my ammo trying to kill this thing, and then I finally run out of ammo, just one shots me. I'm like, all right. I guess I should. I guess I should do something that allows me to do damage with guns.
Oh, is it just because you're trying to do some sort of melee and
Yeah,
you need the gun modifiers, or it wasn't
I didn't.
like a go level up and grind LOL. This was like a DPS check moment.
Yeah, pretty much because all my stuff was to make my melee stronger, not necessarily my guns stronger.
And I imagine in a looter shooter Borderlands as gun type game, they want you to use those guns.
Uh, yeah, probably.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I guess so. It's interesting because since it's a roguelike, they're actually allowed to have these scenarios where they can say, okay, you skilled wrong, so you're dead. Like go start again. Because it's like in theory there are not very few permeations of the game where you have no useful skills for a scenario. So
Except the
like
one you found yourself in.
yeah, but I put myself in that hole. Because the thing is, the UFOs are actually they'll always appear in that area, like every single playthrough. It just happened to be a really wonky spawn where I just couldn't reach it with my melee. And the funny part is, in the level before that, I had 2 melee weapons instead of one. And I at some point I was like, I'm only using one of these melee weapons, and there might be a situation where I need range, so I should pick up like an actual gun.
Hmm.
That'd probably be smart.
Also, if you were playing, I assume you were a single player,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, if you were playing with a group, you could cover each other's weaknesses too, I guess.
Yeah, normally when I'm playing with other people, I just tell them like, yeah, you got to shoot the UFOs. That's not on me.
hmm So not too bad. I thought
Yeah,
you were describing it as like, oh, it gets harder. There's like a harder mode, and then there's like a hard cutoff of like, no, you have to go back and like grind out these more like permanent upgrades to come back. It was just like a skill issue
yeah, pretty
moment.
much.
Okay.
I got brain checked.
Oof. Anything else? Any other gaming endeavors, or maybe endeavors non-gaming?
Yeah, for other gaming endeavors, I had bought Just Cause 3 and what is it, Sunset Overdrive while they were on
Hmm.
sale. Ended up being like $11 total or something. And so I played them and I realized, wow, these games are old and not built for mouse and keyboard. These feel terrible.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah,
Th-
especially Just Cause. Like, so in Just Cause, in the first mission, you're in a tank and it's like an immobile tank. So, like, you're just
mhm.
turning the gun. And I had to swipe all the way across my mouse pad 12 times to turn 90 degrees. And I
It's
was on,
realistic.
and the sense does not change how fast it turns. Like,
Hmm.
like your camera sensitivity.
It
So
might
it
have been a
was
separate sensitivity for vehicle, but I doubt it
no,
in a game
there's
like that.
actually not. So the game is hard meant for you to play on controller, because the idea is that you hold down the right thumbstick in the direction you want to go, and you just kind of keep going. You're not constantly resetting your mouse.
That is a weird one, because
Yeah.
I like to play most third-person games with a controller, except like shooters are in a weird spot. Like
Hmm.
a third-person shooter is kind of in a weird place where I kind of want to use a mouse and keyboard, like a Red Dead or like a GTA. It's like those games. I want to drive a car with a controller, or move my character with a controller, but I want to aim with a mouse. Like Metal Gear Solid 5 is a great example.
Hmm.
I don't necessarily like 3D movement with the WASD keys, and I feel like you lose a lot of that pressure sensitivity and being able to do a bunch of different things. But I also don't
Yeah.
like aiming with a controller, really, to be honest. Um, and when you play third person games with controller, you usually have aim assist, and it trivializes the aiming. So
Yeah.
it's like the combat doesn't matter at all where you're aiming with controller.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know. It's a weird one.
Yep.
But how? Oh, a second. There's a yawn causing dead air. Oh,
Dead
how
air.
was how was Just Cause 3? Did you get any decent headway into it?
I didn't get that far. It seemed okay. I just didn't really feel like playing it on controller.
Yeah,
You know,
fair
just
enough.
kind of yeah. I just refunded it. I mean, as I said, the games were only $11, and I got them pretty recently, so I just kind of refunded. Sunset Overdrive, I actually so it actually wasn't a problem with the game. It's just like I kind of sat down and I realized, well, I've already completed this game, and it's also like in other games, it's kind of meant for controllers, so it's just like I don't really want to. I'm just kind of not feeling it.
The double L, the rare double Steam
Yeah.
sale L.
I do still have Hunt Showdown.
Yeah, which we should partake in at some
Yeah,
point.
we should partake sometime.
That would be fun. I got
Uh,
to install that game.
yeah, and then I'm also waiting for Remnant 2. I'm pretty excited for
Hmm.
that. It looks so good. Like they released some new trailers and stuff like that, and they're letting like some content creators release some like early gameplay, give their like first impressions and all that.
Hmm.
Uh, the one dilemma I'm having is so there are three editions. The standard edition, which is actually $49.99. It's quite rare. A game that's
Oh
under
wow,
$60 nowadays, and it's like a full fledged like game. Like it's not like a
are you sure about that?
yeah. I I assume so. I mean the people who were talking about it said the length is similar to the first game, which was and I got a lot of time of that game. Let me actually check how much time played I have on Remnant from the Ashes.
I
I
actually picked that
have
game up a while ago, and I haven't played it yet.
yeah
I
I
keep
have
forgetting about it.
yeah I have 96 hours on that game. You know I got some good mileage out of it for a PVE game that isn't like a strictly an RPG or something like that. Um, but yeah, so there's three editions: the standard edition, which is just the base game. There's the deluxe edition, which so it's $10 extra, and you get three sets from the first game, which sounds cool. But I actually did some I looked into it a little bit. It's the sets are cool. They look cool, but in the first game, full armor sets would have like set bonuses. So like it would be just you do something like different. Like you'd have damage reduction or something depending on how many parts you have equipped. Apparently, that doesn't exist in the second game, based off of what I've heard from people who like reviewed it. And it's this the armor is just it's just armor. It gives you stats. So I'm kind of
Yeah.
interested as to why that's a 10, like what makes that worth the money to get those sets. Like maybe it's you just don't have very good sets early on, so it really helps with the early game or something like that. I don't know. Uh,
I think it's just an easy value add for someone maybe.
yeah, it
And
could be
like
like the it could be like how some games give you like some starting levels or something like that, or like some starting gear.
yeah, which I always hate to be honest in
Yeah.
games because then it's like, do I use this early game? Sometimes it's so broken you don't want to use it, like in Monster
Oh
Hunter
yeah,
World.
the Monster Hunter World example.
And then sometimes it's garbage, and it's like, why would I use this past the first 2 seconds? Like Borderlands 2, if you get like a golden gun or
Yeah.
something, it's like, why would I ever use this past the first 1 second of the game?
Yeah, the Borderlands like the golden key things and like the pre-order bonuses have always been really interesting to me because I actually think I think in Borderlands 2 the golden keys and stuff were fine, but in 3 they really became obsolete because of the like mayhem level weapons and the modifiers you got in your weapons and all that stuff. It just kind of got a little crazy. I'm not
Hmm.
gonna lie, but yeah, I think it's a cool idea. I think Borderlands has some of the better execution for that out of these like pseudo RPGs, looter shooters. Yeah, out of these looter shooters, um, where it's like for the golden keys, it scales to your level when you open it, and for the stuff they give you to start, it's usually not strictly like stat guns. So they usually have something fun that goes with them. Like
Hmm.
I remember Borderlands 3. I think one of the guns fired like unicorns or something.
Interesting.
Yeah, I remember that.
I
So
mean,
that was
sounds
fun.
on par for that game's writing.
Yeah,
I'm
but
sure there was a epic bacon skin in like 2020 or
epic
like
bacon
2019.
skin.
Yeah, it's just like, man, really, really, really great writing and humor for this game that
Oh
came
man.
out in this decade and not like early 2000s.
Yeah, writing like not pop culture, like modern quote unquote jokes in video games is actually really hard. Like I saw this tweet like maybe 6 months ago now, and it was like game writers. If you're making a joke about Riz, it's already too late. I'm like, damn, that's so true and like so sad at the same time. It's like
Oof.
you really can't do like trendy humor in games that have a longer than she's like a longer than 1 year development cycle. Like that, it has to be like
I-
an indie game probably, like
yeah,
a
I
really
don't
quick
know.
one.
It's really tough with a lot of these modern games that keep coming out, these like big AAA games, and they try to like appeal to the youth with their language and jokiness and stuff, and it's just like, I think it can that's like sniffed out by game, like especially people who play video games. They'll
Hmm.
like sniff out any kind of almost insincerity, and will be like, I don't like this, like Forspoken when that game. I mean, there's probably other reasons people were mad about that game, but I think some of the dialogue people didn't like. Um, just these games where it's just like, it's not funny, but it is so funny to think that there's certain stuff that, I guess, for lack of a better example, people on Reddit will be very upset about like one game's
Hmm.
writing, but then they'll be like, Rick and Morty is so funny and like the
Oh
best show ever. And then they'll make
no!
a complete heel turn on it later. It's like, it
I
was never funny. It's like, you all loved this.
I love the guys that like hate on MCU writing, and then it's like, okay, but Rick and Morty, pretty funny, am I right, guys?
Well, there's just people who are like, they loved Borderlands 2. They're like, yes. And now it's like, oh, now it's not funny anymore. It's like inconsistent. People cringe at dumb things sometimes. People
Yeah,
will be like, I don't know. People are too quick to cringe at things.
yeah, and I think the funny thing about the Borderlands 2 to 3 thing is like, it's I would say that the reality for lots of people is like, hey, maybe you just grew up, but the people posting it, we all know they're not
Eh,
mentally adults.
oh god.
So So
You're
let's
just
be
making a lot of enemies this
yeah,
episode.
let's be real. You guys didn't grow up. You just like hating things.
Um, yeah, it can be part of it. Although Borderlands 3 has absolute dog
Oh yeah,
water, just like terrible dialogue. From the small amount of Pro ZD I played, it's not his
yeah,
fault or whatever. It's more like the antagonists in that game.
yeah. So
Um,
I actually think Borderlands always had pretty spotty dialogue, but I think at least in two they had a much stronger antagonist to work with.
yeah, and I also think 2 was like unique at the time because 1 was kind of a more drab game. 2 was like the peak of that series, I would say. Um,
Hmm.
and it was a ton of fun. Then everything after that is just kind of yikes.
Yeah, I think the big thing with two is I think it was a perfect amount of like iteration on the formula. Not that three didn't change a lot, but I think that the things three changed were a little less revolutionary. Like it was modernizing things, and then they kind of messed with like the action skill system and stuff like that. And then they added some stuff with loot, which is honestly hit or miss. Like some people are gonna like it, some people won't. I personally wasn't too crazy about all the what are they even called? Augments or whatever. What the things that are like inscribed onto your weapon? That's like, oh yeah, after you use your action skill, you do extra damage. It's like cool idea, but it's kind of annoying farming for the ideal one on this weapon, on like this specific weapon, on this specific difficulty, from this specific boss. Like you know, it gets boring. Like,
Yeah, I can see
even
that.
games like Diablo have that, but the thing is that they can be random drops, which at least makes it so you're not like when I farmed Borderlands 3, I was quite literally not looking at the screen. I would put my crosshair in the right place to shoot Gravemind in the center of his chest, hold down R2, and I would watch a YouTube video.
See, I can get into grindy stuff like that sometimes too. So and we'll talk about that in my week a little bit of me playing Final Fantasy 14.
Hmm.
Um, but at the same time, yeah, I don't know. I think Borderlands 3, the gameplay, it's one of those things where the gameplay was actually vastly improved.
Yeah, the gameplay was
It, it,
great.
it was just like, I couldn't sit through that dialogue and just I don't know, the Borderlands writing style of just like, woo, like, oh, the car's on fire. Call me Fire Car from now on. Just, I don't
Oh
know. Just,
god,
the guy's name will be Fire Car, and then there'll be a cinematic where it's like Fire Car and Sidecar. And it'll be like midget
man.
version. It'll be like that. And it's also like, can we even do that anymore? That's like not great, but whatever.
Yeah,
They didn't they change the names of those enemy types in like the later games too?
I have no idea.
Um,
I honestly don't even remember.
I think they did something else, but whatever. It's
Yeah,
weird.
but yeah, I also do think it's important to be able to separate like gameplay systems from the rest of the game. You know, sometimes a game has really good gameplay systems, it's just everything else that's kind of a little rough. And you know, it is a little sad because sometimes I can just make it really make you unmotivated to play the game, even if it's not the actual gameplay.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah.
There's games like that. Like, not as kind of an example for me, like Warframe.
Hmm.
It's not cringe writing or anything. It's just like I think the gameplay of Warframe's pretty fun, but like the core loop is to grind for like new outfits, like basically grind for cosmetics and also like new characters and stuff. But
Hmm.
I don't really like the aesthetic of the game, so it's like I don't really feel the need to grind. Like the gameplay is really fun, but it's like I don't really want to grind to make my robot look cooler because I don't think robots are that cool. So it's like I don't know, it's
Yeah.
kind of a weird. But in terms of Borderlands, it's like, oh, I want to play this game because the gameplay's fun, but I have to sit there and listen to dialogue, and then like, oh, this is really fun. Like I like the gun, and then the next scene, you're like just waiting for the disastrous dialogue to continue. I don't know. I don't think that
Yeah.
comparison made any sense, but.
No, I get it.
Yeah. Maybe I'll revisit Borderlands. It's also locked for me, it's locked on the Epic Games Store because I bought it when it came out.
Uh
So,
yeah, that's tragic.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and
I don't
it
know.
was really cheap. Borderlands 3 was unbelievably cheap recently, actually. Let me check if
Oh,
it's
yeah, all
still.
those games have been I
Uh,
think even Wonderlands is on sale right now
oh yeah,
for
Borderlands 3 on
$20.
Steam is $8.99.
Right
And
now.
with all the DLC, literally every single DLC, which should normally be $254, it's $28. Like that
But
that is on a turbo sale.
the problem is it's like all that DLC, which I'm pretty sure if you look scroll over all of them, they're like gonna be like mostly negative, mostly negative, mostly negative.
Yeah.
For a lot of those. I don't know.
Yeah,
That is
and
affordable, but it's like I don't know.
yeah, and
Whatever.
Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is $19 right now. So this was a season pass. Did they release DLC for that game? Oh
Yeah, yeah,
no.
mostly negative.
Dude, I think the worst part is the reviews are all negative and there's only like 80 of them.
I believe it's because the season pass is like doesn't include like half of the content or something like
I mean
that,
like
or
the individual DLCs. Because
yeah,
like I looked
and
at the
they're
season pass and like did
also
they
just
even
like
release DLC for this game yet? And it's like, damn.
probably just minor whatever. I wanted like that was the game that actually interests me the most out of all of them because it's like a gameplay change up a little bit, and I liked somewhat the DLC, the Tiny Tina's Keep on Whatever DLC from 2. I just think Tiny Tina is a dumb character who's bad. So it's like I don't want to play a whole game with that character narrating the game and then have like while so random like Cheetos appear in the game because they ate the Cheetos and they fell on the game. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was never crazy about Tiny Tina. Like, the first couple scenes were fine, but like after that it
Yep.
was kind of eh. I think her DLC in Borderlands 2 was cool. I think, but um, not necessarily because the character's brand of humor, but I think because they wrote the character as like an actual human being. And then she was like an adult in Borderlands 3, and then she just got no screen time. Just
Yeah.
really bizarre to me.
Well, they were saving it for the game where she's like the big title character person,
But yeah,
I
the problem
guess.
is that she's not an adult in that.
Oh, is it bad? That's weird. Whatever.
Yeah, it's just a child version, I think.
I don't know. That's enough
I don't know.
Borderlands talk. Let me get into my week before this pod ends real quick.
Hmm.
I wanted to say some things about I was saying some harsh things about FF14 last week. Even
Hmm.
though I have like 200 hours in that game, I was being like, I don't know if this game is actually fun. Um,
Man.
I have come around to get cause I keep playing it because there was a time after the first day of my new sub, I was like, maybe I'll just not play this.
Hmm.
Um, but I think what helps is every time I come back, I feel like I do a different change where I'm like, I played a healer at first, and I was like, I don't know. Then I played a tank, and I was like, I don't know. And now I'm starting as like a DPS and
Hmm.
re-leveling, basically doing some of the early quests. And I think I enjoy the simplicity of having less skills at the beginning.
Hmm.
And I feel like DPS has been the most fun role for me so far because with tank, I felt responsible for the tempo of my entire party every time. Because in this game, tank needs to basically take charge and run through a dungeon or know mechanics. And if you're too slow, people kind of BM you, and it's kind of not great. You feel like you're if you go the wrong way or whatever, you feel like you're messing up. Healer can be a little stressful because you're trying to keep people alive, but I think more fun than tank in a way. But DPS is so turn off your brain. It's great. You don't have to. You're selfish. You don't have to worry about your team at all. You just run around and you do damage, and there's two of you. So if you're doing bad, you can blame your other DPS instead.
Hmm.
Um, no, in all seriousness, I do think it's actually a lot more fun. At the moment, while I'm trying to like get back into the game, I can play all the roles and have fun. I just think tank requires a little more experience. Because it feels a little more or someone's described it where all the roles do damage, like healer does damage and tank they do damage, but you do an additional thing. So it's like
Hmm.
healer, you heal people and keep them alive while doing damage, and you're trying to optimize your damage and healing. Tank, you're
Hmm.
doing the same kind of thing with tanking and doing damage. DPS, all you need to focus on is doing damage and occasionally uh doing some sort of mechanic. It's way less overwhelming, and you can kind of it's a little more lenient. So I've been enjoying that more. I'm playing a dragoon right now, which it's like a spear person. I want to
Mhm.
play Reaper, but I need to get a character to level 70 first to play Reaper because I guess they're
Reaper.
very not Overwatch Reaper. I saw that expression on your face. Um, no, they're like a scythe character, I guess. But they're apparently the easiest of the melee DPS, and I'm like, I want very simple rotations and stuff. So I think it'll be fun. Um, I talked to you a little bit about the trial. Have you downloaded the game yet? I know you mentioned
Yes,
it.
I have downloaded the demo.
Okay.
It said that I
Um,
needed to make like
a
a
Mog
Square
Station
Enix.
account.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
actually really scary. Like I thought they were about to ask me like my social security number and stuff. Like it was so intimidating being on that website.
Okay. Yeah. Which kind of like my I have a Roblox aside for after the FF talk about uh government IDs in that game,
Oh man.
but yeah. So did you end up making an account?
Yeah, I did make an account. I think I finished making an account. It
Okay.
stopped giving me prompts. It stopped
Post
scaring me.
after this stream, let me tell you what world server, because this game is separated into like data centers. So
Hmm.
within the data center, there's like a server, and I'm on a specific data center, specific server, and there is like cross play between data centers and stuff, but you want to be on the same everything to
Yeah.
make it easy, because like there's limitations for crossplay stuff. So I'll let you know what all my details are.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's uh it's definitely a slow burn at the beginning too, so be prepared for that. But as soon as you start getting to do dungeons, it gets immediately kind of fun. Um, but yeah, I appreciate the fact that the game doesn't really waste your time. It's a sub MMO, and they have enough content where for the most part, like I'm leveling all these alt characters, right? And it's pretty quick. Like it's not a big slog. It's fine. And you have like a cool you have a nice quest for each class. You can read the quest and they're kind of fun. Again, this is an MMO where you should read all the dialogue and actually read the story. Um and it's nice because you can
Hmm.
skip like every single side quest in the game because they're all terrible except the ones that unlock things, but they're denoted differently. The quests that actually are good and unlock things are marked differently than the side quests. The side quests are literally terrible. It's like I need to go to the bacon store and kill 3 pigs. Like actual trash. Like no one does them.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I'm curious. I would like to see what do you know? Do you happen to know what archetype you often play in these kind of games?
Probably just tank.
I mean, tank is a lot of fun.
Hmm.
And I played a warrior, which is just like a pretty straight tank. You just AOE everything,
Yeah.
draw aggro. Um, the only thing about the tank, like I was saying, for me, it would be I would be a little I'm nervous when it's like, oh, you basically lead the party where you're running around drawing aggro and you're controlling the tempo of how many enemies we're fighting, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
But yeah, tank's a lot of fun. All the classes are fun in their own way. Um, and it's one of those games where you have the freedom to like you can change. It's as simple as changing your weapon. You'll like change class, so you can level up everything.
Hmm.
There's life skills and stuff. So I think it's very good, and the free trial is a crazy deal because you can play the game for like 10,000 hours. I mean, you wouldn't spend that long, but you can play the game for a long time and never really hit a wall. In terms of content.
Hmm.
So yeah, I look forward to talking about that maybe on the podcast at some point. See what your opinion is.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, my other thing I was doing this week is I was playing a little Roblox on stream and
Hmm.
discovered the world of NFT games in that game.
Oh boy.
Um, so with a newer update, I don't know how recent, Roblox has added more enhanced abilities to, I guess, draw like take from the Roblox website API or whatever, um, to implement it into your game. So you can do things like have a catalog of all the items available on Roblox that you can equip to your character and then actually buy them in a game, um, through the Roblox store, or like update, like it'll take your inventory from your profile and let you use those items. And there's a lot of things like that. With this
Hmm.
update, I don't know when this came out by the way, but with this ability, there is now a game type called like basically begging for donations, where you can set up booths and using the system in the game of having a game pass for your level, you can charge other players to donate to you. So there's a lot of these
What?
donate games where you'll set up a sign in a game, and you could write something like, "My brother, who is also a cat, just had surgery. Give me money, sad face." And sometimes people will give you money, like actual Roblox currency.
Oh.
Um,
Um.
which is, that one's kind of whatever. But there is one that is actually fun, but also kind of horrible, called Starving Artists, and it is a very accurate representation of that, where you literally draw pixel art NFTs and you can sell them in game for real currency to other people who can then like take them, and once they have it, it's gone, it's theirs, and they can resell them if they want. But like, I can't imagine why you would. The problem I have with the game is like there's like pretty much nothing to do with them once you buy them. Like you can display them or sell them. There's like nothing to do. But I've been enjoying making pixel art, and sometimes people give me like literally cents in like USD, like 10 cents for
Hmm.
like an hour of work, and I'm like, this is a terrible rate, but I enjoy doing the art, the pixel art. So it's a weird world. But that being said, I also wanted to apply to the user generated content program. They added recently the ability to create your own cosmetics and stuff for the game and sell them and have other players buy them. So you can have some crazy looking characters. Everyone's running around looking like Goku with
Oh
like
no.
literally like copyrighted faces, and like it's crazy. It is wild. But you have to submit a bunch of information. You have to like apply through like a developer forum and like submit a bunch of personal information and like a portfolio. So I cracked open Blender and I started making some stuff. So I made a hat, and I'm gonna try to make some more stuff just for fun because it's a good exercise to learn 3D modeling as well.
Hmm.
Uh, but it is like there's kind of like this massive amount of personal information Roblox wants as a company for anyone who's like gonna maybe be on payroll, in terms of getting some of this currency, um, and also to join any 17 plus game in Roblox and or have voice chat, you need to submit your government ID to a third party service for validation.
Oh
And it's like
no.
we talked about it, where I'm like, I get it in a way, so protect the kids, but at the same time, I kind of don't want to be giving my government ID to this third party validation website to have it sit in a server that'll get hacked and like breached, and then have all my information leaked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is pretty
For
crazy.
Roblox, I get it for like an apartment or something like that, where they need to do like a background check in a way, but for Roblox, like I can maybe chill and not have to have voice chat in that game. Cause that's, I don't know, it's a lot. And there's no real way of validating like it's not gonna be secure. And no matter how secure it is, it's gonna have some sort of vulnerability. And I don't want to be caught in the great Roblox hack of 2023. So
Man.
yeah, wild. Oh man.
Insane.
James, do you want to take us into some questions
Sure. Let me pull
for
up the
our remaining
question doc.
time? While you look for your question, I'll ask you a question. Are
Okay.
there any sports games? I grew up here. Let me read the question in full. I grew up playing a lot of sports games. Are there any sports games from your childhood that you think deserve more recognition?
Sports games from my childhood.
Again, sports games. Maybe we don't have to go childhood.
And I don't know. I haven't played many sports games. I gotta think about this.
See, I
Sports
also don't
games.
play sports games often, but my mind goes toward like the Mario sports games.
Oh yeah, yeah. The both Super Mario Strikers and Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. I remember, I think the summer one, I had it on my DS. I would play it all the time. I couldn't beat like the first group of stages, so I just play them over and over again while my parents and like relatives would watch the Olympics.
I was so hyped for that first one for the Wii. I think it was like the Sochi one or something.
Hmm.
Um, the first I was like weirdly so hype. I'm like, oh my god, it's this crazy crossover Mario and Sonic. And then I realized the game actually is kind of not good. But they
Yeah,
still make those to this day. They
they
still do
do.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
I
still
need to
keep
look
making
into
them. I'm pretty sure there's one on the Switch.
Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. Let's see. There's
Pretty
no
sure they do
way.
for every Olympics. I mean,
There's
why
no
wouldn't they? It's like
way they
crank
still
them
make
out for
these.
every Olympics.
Oh my god! List of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm pretty sure they still make them. Why not? There's like I feel like there's like no incentive not to. People still buy them for some reason.
Oh my god, they actually do. So they had Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games, Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. What?
Um, man, you reminded me though. Like, shoutouts to Wii Sports as a
Oh
absolute
yeah.
banger of a game.
Oh my god,
Um,
Wii Sports were so good.
just playing like honestly the only two games in it that were actually like genuinely good are like the golf game and the bowling. But
Yeah.
playing tennis back in the day was a time. But
Yeah,
I think
like
it,
legitimately the fact that they didn't find some way to like keep porting that game in the same capacity is it's tragic.
I mean, they kind of did. There was like a Switch game that no one cared about, and there was like a reboot thing that no one cared about, like
Yeah,
Sports
but did it
Club, no
still
one cared
use like
about.
the like something similar to the Wii's motion controls?
Uh, yeah, they did, but it's like I don't know, no one cared as much. And Sports Resort, remember that? That came out. The sword fighting was fun in that. No one really cared about other stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I think it was also just such a novelty of getting the Wii and being able to play it and having Wii Sports, and it was just so cool at the time. It was so different. Um, that was definitely I don't know. We can kind of talk about how I think I don't know. No, we probably didn't talk about this, but like Nintendo's next console. Do you think they're gonna
Uh,
do another like a Switch 2, or do you think they're just gonna go crazy? Do you
a
think they're just gonna go
Switch
absolutely crazy with it?
2. I actually don't know. I don't think it's possible to like really predict what Nintendo's gonna do, but and I would bet I don't think they would do a Switch 2. I think they're gonna try something new.
Yeah, and it's crazy though, because it's like the Switch is such a profitable concept, and again, they used to do handheld and a physical, but it just consolidates. It just makes so much sense to have that as a component. That whatever the future console is, I just have to assume that it would incorporate the docking mechanic, having the portable and the home console. I can't see them going back to not that. Um,
Hmm.
but maybe they'll just come out of left field with some crazy new tech, maybe something in the VR space. But I don't know. I don't know how like Nintendo is never about the tech. It's never about the
Hmm.
hardware. Clearly, because their hardware is like toothpicks and garbage. It's about like their
Yeah,
software, but
it's
they always
about
have some sort of like fun gimmick.
yeah. It's not
And
about the
I don't
hardware. It's
know.
about like what they do with the hardware.
Yeah, and what they do with the hardware is make a really good game that runs at 12 frames a second.
Man,
Like, it's case in point,
now that I think
Zelda
about
or
it,
any of those.
motion controls really fell off. Remember when Xbox used to come with a Kinect?
Yeah,
God,
that was
that was
a
crazy.
time.
That was crazy. Like the camera was always on.
Xbox,
Oh
turn
my
on.
god, that was terrifying. Actually,
Um,
holy, how did they ever get away with that?
so the cool thing about like the Kinect is the Kinect itself is still used in a lot of weird applications. Uh,
Hmm.
it's so weird that after the Xbox, the Kinect kind of took on a life of its own. I think some it can be used for VTubery stuff. I'm not entirely sure. I know
Hmm.
Gmod used it at one point. You could use it to like control ragdolls in Gmod. and some other like techie demo things and other weird like you wouldn't think about it. Use Connect as their uh driver for their stuff. They just use Connect. It had a weird lifespan outside of just the Xbox.
Hmm.
Oh, by the way, we forgot to. I plugged it several times throughout the podcast, but if you have a question, you can email us at hyeppodcast@gmail.com. That is the hyeppodcast@gmail.com. But I
Yes.
think we've achieved podcast for this week.
Yes.
Yes, we've hit the magic number. Uh, let's call it a pod. I've been Matt, aka Matt Fondue. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, other places. Just type in Matt Fondue or at Matt Fondue. You'll find me somewhere
Yeah.
doing something.
All right, and I've been James04E. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Uh, yeah, all the places, everywhere. I'm in your walls.